Good morning, my name is Danielle Griffin. I am the Philanthropic Services Manager at FRRR, and I'm here today to talk to you about Rebuilding Futures Round 3, supporting Victorian floods that occurred from October 6, 2022 through to January 13, 2023. Firstly, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. I'm coming to you today from Ewan country. In the background we can see Mooloolah in Tilba, New South Wales. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community, and pay our respect to elders past and present. I thank them for their custodianship of the country to date and their ongoing contributions. Today, we'll talk to you a little bit about FRRR and Suncorp, then go into the detail of the program, including the grant criteria and how to apply. Finally, I'll take you through some grant writing tips so you can write strong and effective grant applications to maximise your success in receiving the funding for your project. FRRR is the only national foundation dedicated to remote, rural and regional Australia to support the vitality of these communities in prioritising what's important to them and getting funding and support to achieve those goals. We work with government, businesses and also private individuals funding us to then put those funds into those communities. The partnership with Suncorp began in 2021. Rebuilding Futures is a program that is dedicated to supporting communities impacted by disasters, and through the partnership we ensure that after a disaster we can come together, understand the needs of the community and respond to them effectively. For this grant round, AAMI is a member of the Suncorp group of insurance companies in Australia. As a household Victorian brand, they are proud to be supporting this grant program and its focus on Victorian communities impacted by the flooding. About this grant round, as we said, these events are said to have commenced on October 6, 2022. There is $300,000 in funding available for grants up to $20,000. It opened last week and it will close on Thursday, the 6th of July at 5 p.m. Applications must be for projects that can be completed between November 2023 and November 2024. We'll announce the grants in late October, so then you could commence your project after that. The purpose of the grant program is to support those communities that were impacted by the extreme weather events that occurred, including flooding and serious storms. We're looking to support a wide range of medium to long-term community-led projects for recovery, to make your community stronger and support any loss that may have taken place, looking at mitigation to understand how your community might be better established to deal with any future disasters, and that's also preparedness. So how can people be better informed? What kind of equipment or infrastructure will support the community going forward? All projects should be looking to benefit the wider community that is vulnerable to the impacts of disaster. We're encouraging communities to build back better with the impact of future disasters on community wellbeing and physical infrastructure. We understand that the experience of disasters is unique to every community and that those projects are going to be unique to your community. It's really important that these community projects are community-led. Funding is available for community activities, events, initiatives and small-scale infrastructure and equipment projects to assist in the recovery. We'd like to see outcomes where communities are more informed, skilled and connected and resourced to respond to future disasters. We hope that through these grants, communities will be able to rebuild in an effective, informed and stronger way, and that the overall wellbeing and mental health of communities is increased through the programs that are run. You can apply for up to $20,000. Now this can be to support a larger project, so it doesn't need to be a single project that you're applying for. So if you have $30,000, and you've got a $50,000 project and are looking to support additional funding there, you're welcome to apply through this program. Additionally, if you've got a larger project and you're still seeking funds, we're happy to understand how you're going to source other parts of the project to complete a bigger budget than up to the $20,000. We're interested in understanding, as a priority, who is in the community that you will serve. How have they been impacted? And how have you identified the need that you're going to serve through the grant project? We're interested in the reach and support of a wide cross-section of community, including members of all ages, nationalities, socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds. Mental health and social connection is really important. Infrastructure and equipment projects, things with resilient materials and clever design to mitigate against future impacts is really highly regarded. And we really encourage applicants to demonstrate evidence of their engagement with other community members. If you're looking to do that, a letter of support, a survey that indicates community interest in your project, or anything else where you can demonstrate that this project has been identified as a priority and you'll be responding to impact a broad range of people. Applicants are welcome to discuss their application with FRRR staff by free calling on our 1800 number. What kind of projects will be funded? A broad range of charitable projects are considered under this program, including delivering or providing activities, events, programs and services that will support recovery, purchasing or hiring equipment and materials, community infrastructure projects, organisational capacity building. So if you're a community organisation that's been working to support recovery and you want to train your volunteers, or you need to support some internal equipment that will make you better at delivering these services, we're interested in understanding that. Also sessions and programs that are targeting mental health and wellbeing, or things just generally like volunteer development and local information for recovery and wellbeing. There are 52 eligible remote, rural and regional local government areas that are considered to have been disaster impacted under the Victorian Disaster Declaration. This is what we use as our guide in regards to eligible communities that will be supported. If your community is not listed or included within these shires, please contact FRRR and we can discuss if you have been impacted by floods, your eligibility to manage that. In regard, other than location, we also need to have eligible applicants be a not-for-profit organisation with or without deductible gift recipient status. You just simply have to have an incorporation certificate and or an ABN. Once again, if you're unsure, please call us. Projects must be for charitable purposes and offer clear public benefit. You can only submit one application per grant round. And once again, they have to be remote, rural or regional Australia. What cannot be funded? This is really important to taking on board. We can't fund ongoing core organisational or operational costs. So if you're looking for the ongoing rent of a building that you're in, or the cost of utilities or regular wages that are always paid outside of this project, then that's not fundable. We are also unable to fund projects that are subject to an insurance claim or should be covered by your current insurance policy. We suggest that if you have something that looks like it could be involved with an insurance claim, explain it in your application or give us a call to talk about what the difference is between what you're looking to have funded and your insurance matters. With regards to prizes, gifts, trophies or awards, often we know that there are events that may occur to support recovery and support social connection. You cannot fund the actual prizes, etc., that may be a part of that fun event, and we suggest you look for sponsorship to support that part of your project. Projects can't primarily benefit private businesses. They are there for not-for-profits who are working in the community and should be supporting a broad community benefit. We will not support political lobbying or applications submitted for or by an evangelist group. And we can't focus on projects that are purely supporting animal welfare. Really importantly, sporting organisations need to clearly demonstrate charitable outcomes and a benefit to the wider community. Sport, recreation and social activities are not considered charitable activities under Australian law. So anything that would advance the actual team, local team, in regards to their sporting prowess is not eligible. However, broader community benefit through health and wellbeing or activities at your local sporting club may be considered. I'd like to just share a couple of examples of past grantees for recovery projects. This is the Mooloolah Community Centre, which is a home and work hub of that community association. In 2022, they were impacted by the significant floods in Queensland and had a significant loss of power for 4 days. This revealed the critical vulnerabilities in the community and has sought them to find funding for solar batteries to support future outages with alternative energy. Having installed those, that community centre has updated their website with a new community resilience service. So a really great understanding of a whole project that is supporting the recovery from those disasters by ensuring that people now understand and have greater confidence in their ability to access power, and providing an ongoing service in regards to being prepared for any future incidents. This is a project between Mission Australia and Coast for Kids that was directly responding to the need identified in the communities of Taree and Wingham with regards to the mental health of children in early years and up through primary years following the significant floods there that cut towns off and really caused some trauma in regards to the dislocation and just the fear that was in the community at that time. A big issue was that there wasn't the professional services available for children to access or even get an appointment for to kind of support them. So this program trained a lot of community members, including health and education professionals, community volunteers and parents, so that they had the skills to have informed conversations with children and young people about all aspects of their wellbeing and ensure that these serious anxiety issues weren't being left unattended to. So that's great with regards to strengthening that community with those skilled volunteers and ensuring those young people are looked after. And here's a final one, which is in Lismore, New South Wales, after Cyclone Debbie, a grant of almost $15,000 for a project called Repair, Restore, Renew, delivered an event that focused on increasing awareness of flood risk and management. So these events not only ensure that people are more informed, they also bring the community together in a really meaningful way to understand who is in their community and what's available to support them. I'd now like to run through a few grant writing tips just to assist you with writing a grant application for this program, but also for any other funding opportunities you might be looking at. Preparation and planning is the key. You really need to understand what you're going to do so that when you put it down on paper to tell that story to an assessor, it's clear. So make it clear for yourself through kind of going, your project, what does it look like? Why are you doing it? When will you do it? Where will it happen? Who will be involved? How are you going to do it? And how are you going to pay for it? How much will it cost? These are all your key essentials in regards to preparation and planning for your project. So let's break it down. The what, why and who. First of all, you're looking to solve an issue in your community and creating an opportunity to change things for the better. What will you actually do? What's the best mechanism? An activity, a program, training? Will equipment actually meet your need? Or is it a small infrastructure project? Really understand what the need is in the community. If you're not duplicating existing services, or is there an opportunity to actually, bring something new into your community that'll really make a difference? I think it's always great to ask yourself, what will happen if you do not do this project? If you want to strengthen your what and why, please give us any evidence, research, statistics that you might have. So just as an example, we need a bit of detail when you're answering the what. Just don't tell us you're going to run an event. Tell us what kind of event you're going to run. 2 or 3 workshops for who in the community? And what is your aim in running those workshops? Also, give us any detail with regards to venues and speakers so we understand the accessibility and the expertise that you'll be delivering through this project. Once again, answering the why. Don't give us anecdotal evidence. Please try and provide facts. How do you know that there's an issue? Was there a consultation? Is there a community plan? Was there a meeting? All these things are really strongly demonstrate that this is an important project for the community. And who? This is critical. We receive applications from many volunteer organisations and we have great admiration for their skill and capability in delivering projects. But we need to know who they're actually working with and what those skills and expertise are within their volunteer committee or within their ranks. Also, who's actually going to be involved in the project when it's delivered and who are the beneficiaries. The skills and experience of key people on your project are really important. And also just understanding the relationships with the beneficiaries, because we need to know that you can actually engage and confidently have those people come to an event that you might hold and that you'll have a connection with them. This is kind of the nuts and bolts. What are your key project stages? It's really great for you to demonstrate to us your task, your resources and responsibility, so it looks like a robust plan. Critical project dates. You'll note for the Suncorp grant that this needs to be delivered between November 2023 and November 2024. If you're currently doing a project, you can't apply for funds that will be retrospective paying for that. But if you have a stage 2, perhaps it's starting in that November period and looking for funding, it's ideal to come and talk to us about that. Where is really critical for anyone to know as well. Often there could be needs with regards to the venue to ensure beneficiaries can access it. Also understanding any permits that might happen and any OH&S that's managed. We know that COVID has changed a lot over the last 18 months with regards to how we manage COVID safe plans, but it's always good to consider if you're inviting vulnerable members into a venue that you'll consider that their potential sensitivities with regards to COVID. With all this, think of what success looks like. So you'll be able to tell a really good story about this project. So once again, here's a really good example to refer to. Please don't be vague in your application because that just sends warning signs to us. Be as clear as you can. We do appreciate that things will change, but at the time of this, if you think confidently about it and have your plan in place, you should be able to tell us that, these are the dates where we're aiming to deliver this, and there's probably a reason for those dates and why they're important. These are the people that will be engaging. You know, and once again, why? Most applications will have a template, and there's a template in this application. Please consider all the costs that are involved, so that when someone's reading it, they don't kind of think, I wonder what they're doing about marketing. I wonder how they're dealing with this piece of the puzzle. So put all those costs down and try and detail how they're being paid for, including through the grant. Please don't just make costs up. If you don't have quotes, explain the estimated value that you're putting on items or even things like speakers. We understand it can be hard to get trade quotes or particular items quoted for within a short period, and it may not be within the application period. So please give us an indication of why you've budgeted for that amount. Think about the income that's going there. So obviously you have the grant income that you're applying for, but also any co-contribution that your organisation might be making, or that it might be raising funds through other partners or supporters, and also any in-kind work that's being donated voluntarily, such as services or labour. We have a volunteer hourly rate that we encourage you to consider the hours that your volunteers might be working and multiply that rate and include that in the in-kind in the budget. So it demonstrates the real value of this project and the investment that's being made by the volunteers in your community. So you've prepared, you've planned. When you sit down to write your application, make sure you just go through those guidelines again and really note the assessment dates with regards to when your project's being delivered and when you'll be finding out about the grant. Follow all the instructions, including word limits. Allow plenty of time. As I said, sometimes it might be difficult to get a letter of support or a quote. So if you've done that right at the start, then you're not going to be feeling rushed or not able to put that information in. A really good example is that we often don't get financials for organisations. For this grant, you're required to provide financials for the most recent 18 months of your operations. If you are an organisation under 12 months, then we will accept a bank statement on your new organisation's letterhead. Once again, please call us if you've got any questions with regards to financials or you have any challenges. If we understand what you're doing, then we can note it in our files on that application, and we'll consider that when we receive it. Make sure your budget adds up. If it doesn't add up, we're left wondering what's going on. And just think that you're telling a story. So see how you can flow, that every question you're answering is like building on the story that you're telling, and always emphasising why it's important to your community. Once again, just going back, we assess what we have to hand. So if there's any gaps in your information, that is a weakness in the story that's being told to us that leaves us wondering how things are going to happen. Things like financials and letters of support, we often don't have time to chase up material. So please just try and provide us with everything you can. Once again, FRRR staff are available to support you through the process. I go back to this, make sure your organisation applying is a not-for-profit, has an ABN or an incorporation certificate that you can provide with your application, and this project offers a clear public benefit. Just reminding you again, we can't find the ongoing core costs, prizes, gifts, trophies or awards, retrospective projects, so anything that will be occurring before November 2023 won't be funded through the Suncorp grant, and sporting activity. More obvious is that any activity outside of Australia or political lobbying or advocacy can't be supported through this grant. This is a great cheat sheet, and I encourage you to take it out of the presentation when you get a hard copy of this and just use it as your kind of guideline. Just use clear, simple language. You don't need to impress us with your writing skills or your vocabulary. Really assume that the reader doesn't know anything about your organisation or your community. Be specific when answering questions. Avoid technical language and any words that we may not be familiar with. Use evidence to support claims. Make it clear how you're going to use the requested funds. Spell out acronyms and use facts, not opinion. For this grant program, we consider how well the project meets the criteria. So really aligning to the goals of this grant program, which is actually addressing recovery, looking at mitigation, and building resilience and preparedness in communities that are impacted by floods. Myself and my team will be doing initial reads and assessments on these grant programs, and then working with the larger advisory program committee with Suncorp members and FRRR experts to support us finalising our recommended grants. These recommendations go to the FRRR CEO, who under delegated authority from the FRRR board will consider and approve projects for grant funding. If you're successful, you'll be emailed about this grant and told how to access funds and how to promote your project. It will also be announced on the FRRR website. If you're unsuccessful, you receive an email to let you know about that and offering you the chance for feedback. I always encourage people, if they are unsuccessful, to give us a call and have a chat. You could strengthen your opportunities in the future with a 5-minute conversation on what didn't quite work in this application and build your skills in that process. If you are successful, just plan for success. So go back to your application and look what you've said you're going to deliver. Photos are a great way to tell the story of your project. So take a photo when you find out you've been successful. Remember, you'll need to provide receipts for all expenditure of grant funds. See if you can set some targets to measure your success, i.e. how many attendees will you have at the workshop you're planning to hold. Deliver to expectations. This is a 12-month grant that once you finish, you have 2 weeks to provide a final report. We know things happen, so if you're running into issues that will delay the project, contact FRRR and we will discuss an extension with you. We have an online report form, and most grant makers do. Reflect on your activity, answer the questions, usually with regards to what did you say you were going to do, what have you done, what actually happened, and tell us a story. We really love those anecdotes about the one person that turned up that really felt a change, or the fact that now you have a new piece of equipment. Everyone feels much more confident with regards to future potential disasters. FRRR has a Grantseekers resources page. So if you are new to grant writing, I encourage you to go in and have a bit of a look around. There's videos on there and all different ways about project planning, measuring success, and meeting community needs. It will really support you in kind of building your expertise and ability to tell your story. So just a reminder, the Rebuilding Futures Victorian Floods grant closed to applications on 6th of July 2023. I'm the Program Manager, Danielle Griffin. You can make grant inquiries on the 1800 number. We are always on the phone and ready to answer your call. I wish you luck in your application and luck with supporting your community. Thank you.